Alright, Brothers War's coming up really soon, and with it is coming back a mechanic which I wasn't expecting to see in Meld. So Meld is a really cool mechanic which is a bit like Transform, although specifically not Transform, where you would have two cards, and there's a Meld condition on them. Here it's the activated ability on Urza, and you can then turn them over, and they're joined together, and they become one big powerful card. So here you can see Urza turns into a Planeswalker. I love that effect that I did, by the way. Best PowerPoint skills in the world. But Urza becomes a Planeswalker, and it is easily one of the most powerful Planeswalkers I've ever seen, and that's because it does take a lot of setup cost to it. But once you get through that setup cost, you get a really big powerful creature, or Planeswalker in this case. We have seen it before. It came out in Eldritch Moon, where the Meld was making these creatures, which was, the idea was Emrakul's malevolent influence, where it was doing this biological meld between the creatures, or between creatures and lands and things like that. But it was like that was the idea. The Eldritch horror of Emrakul was melding these things together into a giant monster. And the biggest monster of these that we saw was Brazela, which was a combination of Bruna and Gazela, and combined in this 9/11 huge monstrosity thing as well. We also had a few others. So we had Hanway the Riven Township, which was between a creature and a land. Now this was one that actually managed to get off in draft, which was really, really fun. But the one that you're more commonly going to get off in draft was the Chittering Host, which was between Graph Rats, and I always forget the name of the creature on it. You can see it on the screen now. But that was another pair which you could meld, and that was done in draft, and it was pretty fun. But you know, you would still have to draft both halves of it. We have seen it once before as well, though. In one of the unsets, we had the big furry monster, and this was a card where you had to have both halves to cast it. It cost a whole load of black mana. It was a 99. It was obviously a bit of a joke, but it was a really powerful card. And the idea was you had to have both halves, and it was, you know, quite difficult because of that. Rules-wise, it works a little bit between a mutate pile, and the Flipwalkers. And the reason for this is when you have your melded creature and it is melded, it behaves a bit like the mutate pile. So if it gets bounced to hand, they all kind of separate and go back to your hand. If it gets exiled, they all get separated and they're all exiled together. And it works the same with the meld creatures. If a meld creature is exiled, then it turns into both its original parts, and they are now in exile. And if you flicker it, they come back like that as well. The other thing to point out with the Flipwalkers, it kind of, the transform, the meld is a bit like that when the Flipwalkers transform, so it gets exiled and it comes back. And that's to clean up the rules around the counters that are on it, any auras that are on it, because it gets exiled and the auras will fall off and all that stuff, the counters get removed, and it comes back as a new entity. And that is relevant for Mishra especially, which I'll go into in just a second. But it means that everything's kind of reset on it when it comes back, and it comes back as this new entity. Talking about Mishra, we've got it up on the screen here. You can see it melds with the Dragon Engine. Now, Dragon Engine has an Unearth on here. So Unearth, it means that you can get it from your graveyard for a turn. At the end of the turn, you would normally sacrifice it. But if you manage to meld it before you get to the end step, then it doesn't get any sacrifice afterwards. So that is a really good positive point to this. Some things that you can do to disrupt this is, for a start, the meld is an ability, so you can stifle it with a stifle effect as normal. But you can also remove one of the parts as the meld is happening. So if in response to meld, you're going to remove one of the parts and the meld just doesn't happen, and that kind of counters the ability overall. Another little thing to point out is that if you try to meld two creatures which aren't supposed to meld it together, so two different things, you don't kind of get an amalgamation of the two halves. It just doesn't happen. You can only meld something with its specific meld pair. I'm going to take a couple of seconds now just to take a little break. I've got a couple of arena codes on the screen. I think one's for just a pack on arena, another one's for a 6-pack bundle that you get from the pre-release, and just to say thank you for everybody who is subscribing. I'm getting really close to that 1K milestone, and that is a big milestone for me, and I'm really hoping to get there soon. So if you haven't subscribed already, it is really appreciated if you do that and help me get there. But yeah, I am really enjoying it. I'm starting to do a bit of writing for Draftsim, and there will be a link to the article that I've done on Meld in the description down below as well, and I'll put one in the comments as well. But I am really, really enjoying how this kind of content creation thing is going. I'm learning a lot, and I do feel like I'm making, you know, my own groove in the area of Magic content creation. Anyway, back to Meld. So another thing we should think about with Meld is if you manage to copy one of the Meld parts, so here if you copy the Dragon Engine, and then the original one goes away, so it can't meld with that, then you can't meld with the copy. You can only meld with the original version. So that is something that you really need to bear in mind. It's got to be the original card, not a copy that you can going to use as part of your Meld. You can, however, copy a melded creature. So you have the big melded creature, the double-sized one, and you can just use a normal copy spell for that, normal clone effect, and you'll just kind of get this baby version. I am hoping on Arena you do get to have a huge card on the battlefield. I don't think it'll happen, but it will be interesting to see. But, you know, you get this little version. Obviously, if it's a legendary creature, the legendary rules still apply, so you have to have some kind of shenanigans to get around that, but it is something that can happen. And for all the Johnnies out there, you can obviously, and this is something I really want to see people do, use Spark Double on Urza and copy the Planeswalk, and you get 2 versions of this Urza. Yes, of course, it's win more. Yes, of course, it's just kind of a silly combo you can do. But if you did do that, obviously give us a tweet at PLD_MTG, because I would like to see that, and I think that's going to be a cool thing to do. Couple of other things to think about with Meld is, I've already kind of talked about it, so if you have a bounce effect, so something gets bounced to your hand, it's going to bounce back to your hand and split into its constituent parts, and that is just kind of like how it works. You don't get the whole meld thing back in your hand that you can cast. It's got 0 mana cost, so you know you could put on the battlefield from your hand. You're going to have to go through the whole meld process again. Similarly, if you have some flicker effects, so you can see here, if you've got Restoration Angel and we'll flicker the Urza, then it's going to come back as its constituent parts. And also, if you have something like Planar Incursion, where you're going to flicker a creature and it comes back with a +1/+1 counter, when it comes back as constituent parts, and both of those will come back with a +1/+1 counter on as well. If you want to do something that isn't going to split your Meld creature back, so if you want to protect it for some reason, well, I can see why I want to protect it, because it's a powerful card, then you can use Slip Out the Back, so or any other kind of phasing effect. So if you phase it out, it's not going to split up as it comes back in, and of course with Slip Out the Back, it'll come in with a +1/+1 counter on. A couple of other things to mention about the back side of the card. We've got back to Urza here. It does have a colour in the card itself, so it's blue and white, and it's done by this little dot that you can see on the card here. So the back side is going to be blue and white. Also, you can see it doesn't have a mana cost, but it does have a converted mana cost, or a mana value even, as should we call it now. And the converted mana cost is going to be the combination of the 2 constituent parts. So here, the original part of Urza was 3 mana, the Might Stone and the Weak Stone's 5 mana, so that means that the Urza Planeswalker's mana value is going to be 8 in total. Anyway, that's about it for now. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can at PLD_MTG. Subscriptions are always appreciated, as are likes to the video and comments. But until next time, I hope to see you again soon. Bye.